So what was the challenge when it comes to the verification criteria in ASPICE 3.1?
Well, maybe if I have to answer with respect to the 3.1, since there was a specific base practice for adding verification criteria, and also if you see the VDA guidelines, there is also a guideline which says that your requirement process S2 or be it SW1 should not be rated fully if there is no textual description of verification criteria. So this was one of the key factors. Let's take up the requirement writing. Right. So ASPICE just says that you write the requirements, but every other company will have their own set of principles. So there is smart way of writing principles, writing requirements, years principle. So there are many ways the way you write a requirement. And also, while doing your review, you would have certain review checklist, and some of the common checklists coming from probably ISO 26262 or 21434 will also be that your requirements must be atomic if you are writing it in the natural language. Of course, if you are in SLC or D, yes, syntax and semantics comes into picture. But if it is natural language, then you need to have things very atomic, testable, etc. As a requirement engineer, if I'm following these principles, to make sure that my requirement is testable, measurable, atomic, simple, by default, it would give me, what is it I'm looking for when this requirement is complete? How would I verify this requirement, right? Just for the sake of the guidelines from the VDA or ASPICE 3.1, in most of the cases, it was mandatorily required by me to maybe add in a bit of extra text for verification criteria. So if you ask me, I would write as verification criteria, and I would write down, okay, maybe if let's say I'll take a diagnostic feature. So the system shall respond with the ECU identification number when uh, DID blah 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 is requested, right? Now for this, the verification criteria is that ensure that the identification number is so and so, right? It is quite implicit. Why would I want to write again? So this was kind of a challenge. I mean, if you don't write, of course, then you wouldn't end up, getting fully in your SYS2 or SWE1 processes. This way, I feel that by removing this, it is kind of helpful. It would definitely reduce work because your system requirement, once it is complete, it is also communicated to all the key stakeholders here being system architects and the system test engineers, right? So the test engineers will eventually read through the requirement and then derive their test cases and also the test environment. So this way, if there are any complexities involved, like some specific things, some preconditions required, your requirement must happen when the system is in sleep mode or in normal operation, etc. I'm sure you can add it as a note. But having a specific verification criteria was quite a challenge, and removing that definitely helps in reducing a huge amount of efforts in System. So this is what I have a key takeaway from this ASPICE 4.0.
Mm. And also to add on, I mean, why it has been removed is something we can definitely understand because sometimes the requirements are pretty clear. There is nothing more to, let's say, define as a verification criteria in a textual form. Sure, it makes a bit of a redundant work. There is a reduction. But if I see from the other aspect, like assessing aspect, in ASPICE 3.1, let's imagine you had a separate base practice. Yeah, if your requirements are not that clear when it comes to the verification of part of it, maybe that base practice would have been downrated. Now, since it is considered as an inherent part of your base practice one, if it is taken as really critically as a part of the base practice one, then it would impact the rating of the entire, let's say, level one of SYS, let's say SYS2, right? Because then comes the VDA guideline, because if it is downrated, you cannot rate other base practices higher than this kind of a things will come in place, because BP1 is the important one, of course, and definitely we want to land in largely, or in the best case fully, in BP1, so that our overall result is not affected. So I see there could be some challenges with respect to how we rate BP1, because of course SSS who have been bit used to looking at the verification criteria will continue to look at the verification criteria, even though it is an inherent part of the requirement. So I hope it wouldn't impact the BP1 so much in ASPICE 4.0.